The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100 went on an absolute tangent. We ripped, we broke. If you're following on Twitter, then you got a lot of these notifications earlier in the week. But you got a lot of that continuation that people said wasn't really possible. At the beginning of the week, we had a little bit of the dollar pumping, oil pumping, and we had the yields moving as well. And that was kind of a red flag. But we had a few indicators you had to look at that I believe are still showing major signs of what you need to be trading, what we need to be focused on, and where the money is going this week. So let's not waste any time. Like, subscribe, do what you got to do. Let's get to it. Going into today, it wasn't real a big surprise at all. The fact that this was our peak on the week. Again, you can see 19 of the last 52 weeks have ended on Friday being the peaks, meaning Friday is the high of the week. So making highs was logical, made sense, especially with a strong Thursday. What I will say though, if you go into Mondays, we look at the green action there, is again, Mondays tend to be our greenest days. So I'm definitely not going into them with the mentality of Monday's going to be a red day whatsoever, just to get that band-aid off. This is Edgeful too for all this data analytics on stocks, ETFs, and everything in between. The link is down below. But again, when we jump into Nasdaq and we look what's happening here, I want to go to higher time frames. I'm also going to get rid of all these drawings as well. And I kind of want to start fresh for everyone, right? We're just going to really start working from the top down here. Let's actually turn off all the indicators as well. And so when we look here at what the NASDAQ is doing, I think it's very clear where the strength is here. Okay, so again, we just zoom out and we just look. Again, we've had this marked out on Twitter. We were marking this. The Twitter link is down below. I recommend you check us out. But again, we had the higher lows clearly in structure. We had the flat top right up here. And then that was really it. Now, you also had a major point like at 17, I think like 9.5, like up here, but still, like this was how we were just moving. And you ended up breaking, mounting, and pushing to the upside. And again, I say this all the time. What do you look for? You look for the break, but you don't want to go long there. You want to go long on the retest, and then that continuation is where you make your money. Because when you go long on that retest, you put yourself in the best position to win. Your stops make sense. You're not buying with high IV. You're putting yourself in that position. So even here, we leave a tiny, let's say we have hypothetically a 40-point stop, right? Not even a full 100, 50 points, right? Just 40 points. Just with upside back into previous highs, it's still a 1 hour trade, right? But then you get that real breakout where you make all your money. And again, that's where all the money is made. And this is 4, 5, 6R as you're breaking up there. That's the NASDAQ, right? QQQ. We look at ES, right? This is a more interesting chart, okay? Because we're going to leave most of the stuff here, but I just want to highlight. ES, we already knew this whole week. It's been inherently stronger, making higher highs, higher lows. It's a definition of a bull trend and a bullish structure. And when we look at how this played out, this was your previous highs from 2021, 2022. We slowly pushed in. The past day or two, we've kind of been like rejecting at 50-20. Then we broke and just went up from that level as well. And that's how today went, right? You didn't even really test that level at all. You just broke straight through it. So again, we look at these areas in the market, and it definitely incites us when we look at what's happening and how we're moving here, right? On top of that, you have the DXY, the dollar showing, a little bit of weakness, but it broke out at the beginning of the week. You have the 30-year yields sitting pretty high at the top of top of this range, but the market's still moving bullishly. And on top of that, the IWM, the Russell, is trying to break out a buck above 200. The last time this happened, the market really caught fire and went almost like a little bit of an explosion on the broad market. So I still think the IWM is pretty strong as well. Now you bring up the 200 SMA here, you go to the weekly, so the 200 weekly moving average. You look what happened here. You bounce back here on January 17th and kind of just been making higher lows and trying to make a higher high. I would be willing to bet Monday we try to break this high and push back above 200, right? So structurally, all markets look incredible. I'm just going to say that right now. So again, I want to highlight, if we lose supports, if we make a lower low, I would be fine trading to the downside. But we're just not getting that action. And in fact, now you're having areas where major risk on indicators such as the IWM are showing signs of an absolute explosion to the upside. And it just leads you to wonder, where is the tipping point? Where is the real breakout factor? How much further can we go? And then it leads you to look at DXY. With what happens if the dollar starts to drop? What happens if yields start to drop? We know they want to cut rates here, in May, June. What will that do to the economy? If the market's running like this without, a lot of these other names holding back, and the biggest name is obviously leading us here as far as earnings and everything with earning and growth there, What's going to happen when the rest of the market gets involved? It takes me back to last year when we had the banking crisis, right? And if we remember, tech was moving, but there was a whole sector of the market that couldn't move, and it was XLF essentially. And once XLF, and I can remind you of that chart, let's jump back in really quick. But when I take you back in here, and again, we're not even going to have a little break off here, but as you can see, we go to XLF, and I want you to remember, because we covered this last year, okay? And when we looked at this chart, you were in a clear downtrend, clear as day. But when you broke out in November, remember how we started moving? Do we really remember? Right? Remember KRE sitting at lows. KRE still doesn't look as good, but XLF is looking amazing, right? And let's go back to November just for a second here. Look at NQ in particular. In November, you have and this is the 200 daily SMA too. You can also see that. Go back. So all of our levels are very clear, concise. We're not just pulling these out of thin air. Bounces right off of it. And you have your best run arguably since COVID. I'm going to tell you right now. I think this run has been better than, honestly, it's kind of hard to say. The March run was pretty incredible too. But this run was incredible. Pure. It's still going. So again, what happens when banks break out? What happens when the rest of the market breaks out? Which they will when this happens. The housing market will explode when rates get cut. Buyers will flood back into the market and these names will start to rip. And that's what has to get you excited, okay? And so that's the primary thing I'm looking at I really and truly believe this could, just be the beginning of another crazy, wild year, right? Is it the healthiest movement? Probably not. Am I going to try to make as much money as possible while it's happening? You can bet all the money in the world that I'm going to. Okay. Now, before we go to anything else, I have to ask you to do two things. Consider liking and subscribing. And the newsletter is down below. Every Sunday we release a newsletter. This is what it looks like. We're not selling you anything. It's going over futures, what's happening there with the S&P, SPY, Qs. We go over our favorite names here, the key levels to watch. We talked about NVDA. Again, we said exactly where it would go, where the breakout point was, everything in here as well. We said this was very bullish, over 600. You had to expect more upside. So again, it's all in there for you as well. Be on the lookout for this Sunday and make sure you're ready for those as well. Okay, so I'm not going to talk anymore, really. We're going to just go straight over equities just to let you know. Literally, fiance walked in the door. We're about to find out what the gender of the baby is, so I have to hurry this up. So we're going to go over equities and we're done for the rest of the week. I'll see you guys on Sunday, but let's get into these equities very quickly. Now, where I want to start first is going to be Tesla, because I think this is actually providing one of the better opportunities going into this week. I've been pretty bearish, haven't wanted to touch it yet, right? But as you break back above 194, I think you have to start getting excited about the potential gap fill into 206. I 100% think it's likely. You need to be watching this as long as you hold 194. I love the upside. This level should be about right there, roughly. You break, mount this level, you're very, very bullish. You got to be watching it. Amazon, hey, congratulations if you caught this, guys. We've been saying it above 171. You are bullish. We've been saying it and saying it and saying it. The next level being around 177. So congrats if you caught this move today. Still think there's room into 177. CRM, also love what's happening here. You're getting great movement overall, and it looks like you want to get some of that continuation. Also, all-time highs being 299. Definitely keep this on your chart. We'll have more stuff going over this weekend too, about all the key levels you need to be watching. Microsoft, very nice run over 407. You mounted 407 right here. You pushed through all-time highs, and the rest was history. You've been watching on the channel. You got to be paying close attention. Now you're above highs. If you mount that, you're looking for continuation. You come back into 415. That's your major level there. You can't get too crazy. Meta, very interesting name here. One of my top names into today. You came right into target number 1 twice, and you just couldn't get over that level and rejected back down. Above 469, you're expecting 473, but that's about it. AMD, again, I won't be going long until you mount 174.6. Everyone was getting excited today when you shot straight up, but then you rejected right off the key level. Who would have thought? Who makes these levels up? Make sure you're paying close attention. Again, AVGO, we mentioned this one yesterday. We said you're probably to push to 1280, and you pushed just right into there. And now you're trying to break back over all-time highs, which is around 1300. Definitely can happen with the way that semiconductors are moving. Apple, probably my favorite name out there right now. More of a long-term moving more towards May for myself. You want to see a hold about above 190. We got another push today. You just could not hold. It is what it is. Once you get that hold, I think you're going to start taking off back to the upside. This has been a clear line in the sand. It's been very tough to get above that level. And it doesn't seem like it's getting any easier. Again, trying to see if there's any names I forgot. I'm not interested in Netflix right now. Just the movement's too trash. Amazon we covered. Boeing we already covered that as well. LRCX, you talked about this one as well yesterday. Move back into, say if you mount this key level, you break up 880. You mounted 880. You pushed to all-time highs. We checked the tape. We mentioned it yesterday. You break it out again. I'd be looking for a retest of previous highs and the reaction from that point to hopefully see buyers back in at $900. SMCI, a lot of you guys are loving this one. Again, the same story. You break highs, you mount them. You break highs, you mount them. Again, I can just show you over and over and over again what's happening, right? So this is all you want to see. You want to break the highs, you want to get them out. So that's what you're doing. You want to see a high break of 745 and get continuation closer into 800, hopefully there. We don't want to complicate anything here, guys. Very simple to the point. Last one up is going to be Google. Again, it's been a little bit weaker, but again, you're still trying to get that gap fill back into 151. Probably going to happen very soon as well. Strong name. The rest of the market's moving great. If you have questions, comment down below. See you guys on Monday. Have a good one, traders.